Today is a new day to start again. Take each moment one by one and do the best you can. Yesterday doesn't matter, it only serves as a ladder. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed, so make your plans accordingly. Today is a new day to start again. Take each moment one by one and do the best you can. Grand Rising. Today is a new day to start again. It is 9/27/2025. Hadn't done that in a while. Okay. New author, new book, new day. I kind of left that last video on a somber note with my spiritual tears, but it did actually help me. So I thought I'd reach out again to the people that do watch these and come back and circle back to see if I'm still going. I'm like the Energizer Bunny, I don't stop. The point I wanted to get into, I've been quiet because there's just a lot of people talking. And I don't think I have anything to say that's going to add to it. So I wanted to focus back, though, because, I don't know, I feel called to. And that's what I'm trying to do, is do what I feel called to do. Every new day is a test. It's a new test. That's what the whole point of the new day to start was. It's your present, current awareness. It's not that you don't carry the problems of the past. It's that they don't really matter. It's that you have to face what you have in front of you today. And whenever you wake up for your new day, you need to make sure that you're ready to do that. Or rest. You can do that as well. It's all based on your current awareness. And then what I think it is, when I say every day is a new test, I think literally every day is a new test to see if you've learned what you've, your gnosis. And I talk about that a little bit. It all depends on your current awareness. What is awareness? That's what I wanted to get into. And I did my thing that I do when I start rabbit hunting, is what I call it, or being a rabbit and hunting. I don't know if that's the same as rabbit hunting. And I do this when I get my inquisitive mind going. And we have these tools, these cell phones, which are very useful, actually, if you want to look into different directions of what it is. But I think you have to use your discernment. And that's what's really been lost in our society. Our emotions are so manipulated. Man. Anyways, so what is awareness is what I started this whole process with this morning. If you're not familiar with these videos, just to give a little bit of insight of what I do, I wake up really early in the morning. I've been doing that for about 6 years. I wake up at like 2 or 3 every morning, pretty much, depending on the situation. But I mean, it's pretty consistent, whether I've slept before or after. So after a while, I just decided I'm just going to stay up until I do what I meant to do at that time, because it's like a ring. I don't want to be too symbolic about it. I wouldn't say it's an actual ring, but it's became a part of my life for sure. And it is an impactful thing, because I have this spiritual thing that I do every morning, basically, whether I'm doing videos or not, where I sit and write a lot of stuff down. And most of it's gibberish, but it's journaling is what I've heard other people talk about. I'm not trying to say that I'm doing anything that no one has done before me. I am a little weird. So when I looked into awareness, I believe that the way our language is presented to us, especially through these phones now, because it's more powerful than ever, if you don't use your ability, your discernment, which is very important, it's like a logic-based understanding of things, trying not to allow your emotions, and really go slow on the words that are used, because they've been so watered down. And it's really important to understand what their true meaning is. So when we're talking about awareness I wanted to look it up so that if anybody else was doing this, what would they look to? And the first thing you find is the AI, and it says state of having knowledge or perception of a situation. And I've got quotations on this. So awareness, Google it, is what I used. And the first thing that comes up is the AI. And the first thing it says is, so I'm looking up awareness, and it says state of having knowledge or perception, knowledge or perception of a situation. So I just stopped right there because that's what I always do, is I just like, I don't even know what any of that means. So I go to etymology, is usually my second course of action. And I did the etymology of awareness. And it says that it comes from the core of awar. It's Old English. Ga-waraz. Ga is the beginning, or it ended up becoming ah, I guess. And then waraz is the last part of it, aware, waraz. And it's wary is what it says, or cautious. Root of where is perceive or watch out for. That's interesting, I think, because if you go back and look at basically the first thing it says when you Google what is awareness, it says state of having knowledge or perception of a situation. But if you go to the core of what awar is, it says perceive, watch out for. Why did that change? Because it's not the same thing. And is that important? So then I went to the dictionary, and knowledge or perception of a situation or fact. They added fact to this. So we got situation and fact. And then it had some things written there that I thought were interesting. It said, when you look up the dictionary of awareness, it says, we need to raise public awareness as a thing. Raise public awareness. And then I looked into the dictionary, and it said, there's a bullet point below it says, concerned about and well-informed interest in situation or development. So it means that you have a current understanding. Current understanding is the gist of it. And I would say that's not the correct understanding of awareness. Awareness isn't about understanding. Awareness is about, well, according to this, being cautious. So let's go into, or watchful. And that always brings me back to the watchful eyes of the mystics, is what you will see in most of these ancient texts, is that there was a group or something that was more enlightened than the flock. And that's what a lot of stories are written about. But it's so watered down. So anyway, so then I went to Wikipedia. So I'm like, let's break this back down on awareness. Because I like to go to Wikipedia. They used to tell us that was one of the worst sources, but it's just a good reflection. So the first thing on Wikipedia was very interesting when I looked up awareness. It said it had a book recommendation for a book called Noticing by Steve Sailer, which I'm going to look into. It was very interesting about how the misunderstanding of what my topic is, basically. So that the misunderstanding of what awareness is has led to manipulation. Now, this is a politically generated response. One thing is interesting about me. I can read the footnotes of something and get a pretty good understanding of what the gist of what they're saying is. Especially when it shows a lean of red and blue, it makes it much more obvious. But that doesn't mean there's not truth in all kinds of things. And I think it's necessary to look in every angle, because we are all brothers and sisters in the end. There are no enemies. This whole devil thing, I don't want to get too deep into it, but it's a misinterpretation as well because of awareness. So anyways, that just should, and then it gives an idea of in philosophy and psychology. So I'm going to try to stay centered on this. Awareness, according to the dictionary and Google, when you get into it, it basically says awareness is perception or knowledge. Those are two completely different things. So it can't be. Awareness can't be perception and knowledge. Perception is, so then I was like, okay, well, let's get into what's perception. That's what drove me crazy in the beginning, and what led me to all this is I started looking at definitions of things and looking at words that I use in common use all the way through my life. And what I find is these words are the wrong labels for what the actual intent of the word is. And I find it very interesting. Now, people don't, for some reason. I try to explain this to people and they think it's just like the evolution of our language, but it's not. It's the evolution of our programming to take us away from spirituality, is what I would say. And there's a lot of different ways that it's manipulated. They literally, I don't want to be so taboo, but there is a lot of symbolism in a bound book that was designed, and the way our information is disseminated to us now. There's a lot of similarities, in my opinion. But, so you can read through it though. That's where the people that have discernment have the ability to look through things. So I'm going to go back to this perception thing, try to stay on course. So then I looked up what perception is, and I just tried to stay more basic because I knew this video was already getting long, and I can't really articulate this and keep you entertained long enough to stay with me, but it's really important. These are things that I've really came to understand, or understand is what I wanted to follow up with. Anyways, perception is ability to hear or become aware of something through senses, the state of being or process, senses. And then you get into the five senses. So I actually think that that is what aware is. It's like your current awareness is your ability to use your senses right now. That's what I think awareness is in this moment. So then it throws knowledge in here. So knowledge is what they have the definition of knowledge is facts, information, and skills acquired by a person through experience or education. It's really leading you down into this whole, it's leading you down into this whole hierarchical, doctoral system where it's degrees and this is what it is, facts. A lot of people like facts on both sides. Facts have nothing to do with knowledge. In fact, it's like the opposite of it. There's no such thing as facts and gnosis. It's a knowing, which is using your current to add. I think it may be discernment. It's using your abilities. But if you're not aware, then you can't use them. So you're not responsible for them. That's where guilt comes into play. The more aware you become of your abilities, the more you are responsible to interact. And so that's what's so key about awareness. It has nothing to do, gnosis is important, but your current senses. And I think what's important, I'm going to stay on script because I think I get to my points. And I still have a few more pages. I actually say right here is my point. The original intent of awareness is that we're shepherds, essentially. And the more aware you are, the more you look at another shepherd and you say, hey, I'm in the same kind of thing you are. We're both currently aware of what's going on. And that's what your awareness is. But it's got to be in like physical form. It's using your senses. You become aware of what's around you. You're aware of, and the more aware you are, the more you are. So what I would say is, I went back to awareness. So I'm like, okay, let's go back to the original intent of this word. What were they trying to articulate? What were they trying to say with this word whenever it was in its original form? And So when you do the etymology, you get into the Old English stuff. I think it's really important because that's a mask too. That's where the whole Tower of Babel. I think what happened was there was a separation of all races by language and then culture because of a problem with something happening with the collective power of humanity. So to disrupt that, the Tower of Babel did happen, but from the organicness of humanity, there were ways that humanity tried to coalesce back into their rightful being, state of being, because I think it's a state of being. And I think that always resurfaces back up. So we're just in a current state of, it looks bad, but I don't think it is. I think it's actually really good. I think there's a lot of things happening because of people's awareness is starting to grow because of this, because of these phones, because people have the ability to see other places and get a different perception. I think that's really important too, the whole idea of perception. So to get back to gnosis is, I try to stay on script here. To be aware is a state of being. It's the use of your senses. What are our senses? So that's important to know, right? And they have the 5 senses. That's what one of the first things you're taught in school. There's so many things you're taught really young in school, but sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. And then they don't really talk of the other senses. But there are other senses. It's not just 5 senses. They just put a label on it. It's kind of like what they did with the oil change. This is the amount of miles you need to change this oil when it's way before that. But they also did it with mattresses. They reduced the amount of time that the warranty lasted because they wanted to reduce the life of the mattress, because it doesn't do any good to sell somebody a mattress that lasts for like 30 years. So they'd also probably be really heavy. So the other senses that I looked up were proprioception. Proprioception. It's what people call the 6th sense. I think that's the 3rd eye. I could have got deep into this. You can go a lot of places with this. The pineal gland. But it's non-visual ability. Ability comes in a lot of places here. And I didn't actually look up the etymology of ability, and then you have non-visual ability to know, gnosis. The position and movement of your body parts without having to look at them. That's what they say is proprioception. Non-visual ability to know the position of movement of your body parts without having to look at them. I guess they would call that the zone. But it's something that's profound enough that it should be written about. Vestibular sense. It's the inner ear and the balance. So it's your balance, basically, your ability to walk upright, which is something that separates us from other beings, for sure. And then the pineal gland, I think, is one that's really important. I think that's something that really is, I don't know. Is there a pineal gland in the other animals? I actually don't know that. Somebody look that up and put it in the comments if anybody watched this far. That's worked really well for me. My engagement has not been great with this. And I'm just a bloke. But I want to stay into my thing because I haven't done a video in a long time. Might as well get this all out here. At least we're not talking about other things that other people are talking about. So anyways, you have your perception or knowledge. So then I got back into knowledge. So knowledge is an ability. It's your ability to use your perception. And perception is your current awareness. So you have built up all of this, whatever you've taken in with your senses through your life. All of the different things, whether you meant to or not, you took in through your senses, have been into your body and, in a sense, programmed you for your next reaction in your next day. So you have to become aware of that. Once you become aware of that, then you know that everything that you take in your body going forward is going to have an impact on how you act and how you react. but it still comes down to your current awareness. And then, so what I would say for me, because I wanted to know what that means, and I read that war or awar is to be wary, that resonates with things that I've learned about what you're supposed to do in this life. You're supposed to be not fearful, but aware, because there's bad things that happen all the time. So you should always be aware of what could happen. And be, what I think it's supposed to be is you're supposed to be a shepherd. I think you're supposed to be, once you become aware of what's happening, you're responsible to interact. You've become aware because your senses have been shown. And you used your ability of gnosis. So you can turn this is how people get programmed into not following what their true purpose is, which I think leads you to this hell of depression and anger and upset. Why? We all have this opportunity, no matter your circumstances, to actually be aware in this new light that we have every new day. And we have breath. So I think that the test is, because you've gotten this opportunity from wherever it's come from, which is source, I guess, every new day is to use your current senses, whatever you have. And a lot of this stuff happens on its own. I mean, your heart beats, your lungs breathe, your blood pumps, your penis gets hard, your pussy gets wet. I just wanted to do that to see if anybody was watching. I go a little south sometimes. All that happens without gnosis, without knowing it. But then you do become aware of it. You can't do anything about your heart, but you can stop breathing, kind of. There's some things you can stop doing. You certainly can stop taking in things that you know are bad, but we continue to do it. And I think that's when we take things into us that we know is bad. That can be information, that can be everything. That's why I think it's so important for people to find like a thing. But I don't think that that's actually what we should do. I think you should be aware of using things, but you should always have this same beginner's mind, is what I've talked to other people about. And I didn't come up with that, obviously. That's from kind of a Japanese Zen idea. And I really have always resonated with that. It made a big impact on me. So I had the Tao Te Ching was a major impact by Lao Tzu, supposedly. And then beginner's mind was also very big. And then the Bhagavad Gita, whenever it does the whole guy with the two talking about the brother and his having to kill his brothers, that was very impactful. But those three things have been very impactful on what I think true life is about. I don't know why I went that way. It's a really crazy time out there right now. And I think part of it is we were just programmed, and part of it is that we were programmed into believing about the five senses, and really just the way that we're taught things, the way that we get our gnosis, it's masked. Like, we don't have the ability to get true. No, we do if you are a searcher. And I think that that's what I was talking about earlier, that I think that the cream always rises to the top, kind of, so to speak, is that that's just what's inbred in humanity. And I don't think that humanity on its own will destroy itself. I think that there is something else that is a part of that. And maybe this is a proper way for us to get to that place where we were already at one time. And that's just the cycle of things. It allows that to happen. Because we seem to be a part of this realm, for sure. Like, one of the biggest parts. And so does this AI thing. I think, honestly, what it is it's Christ consciousness and AI. And I used to say Christ consciousness versus AI, or a race versus AI. Maybe the turtle versus the hare. How about that one? All right, so let's keep moving forward since I went off the rails. Gnosis is all of these senses, using all of your senses to discern why I am here. Because I feel like that's why we have this consciousness, is for us to understand why what are we supposed to do. And we can be totally led, or we can lead. And most of us are led, even the ones that think are leading. Some of the greatest leaders are led. What are you led by? And I think that that's what I'm trying to channel into, is what's real. And some people are using things that I have already determined are not the same as what I'm trying to channel. So when I'm talking about channeling, I mean, I'm trying to get my full senses in my current moment to know what I'm supposed to do and where I'm supposed to make my impact. And that's my true duty for today. That's how serious you should really take each day. And I kind of get there during these videos because I get a little bit in, because you're all by yourself when you do it like this. But then what I've been doing is I take a nap and then I go back into the world, and it's like it's a whole reboot for me every day. That's why I really enjoyed doing these videos, because that was what it was allowing me to do. But I'm not doing this justice, actually. That's where I got to at the end of this. I want to go to the beginning of my page of my original point that I was trying to make. So every new day is a new test based on your awareness. And I think that it's not, the problem is probably right there with the test, because I think people have a different idea of what test is, and I'm probably using the wrong word. But test does have a testament. There's a lot to it. So anyways, the test itself isn't reward based. It's just basically your opportunity. And you will be punished if you do the wrong thing, by natural law of a mother-based life that we live here, and light that's shed on us by the Father. What we do in the dark, no one sees. We don't have to face that reflection. If they see it, now we have to face that reflection, because they see the darkness the things that we did in the dark. That's basically life. And where I think the bliss of life comes from is when you can walk outside and feel like you've revealed everything that there is to reveal, and there's nothing to hide. I think it comes down to, like, can you stand naked in front of God? Kind of with the fig leaves and all that. That all happened because of the Garden of Eden and the tree and the eating. Before that, there was no need. So I think what we take into us is sin, but we're in a world that's sinful world. And so whatever you want to call sin, I would say it's hurtful to your soul of what you know should be right. That's why it's so good, because it's like, I don't know why. I probably should land back on that again. Why is it so? Why does sin taste good? It's the devil. It wouldn't work if it didn't. But then you get back into the Tao of, you can't have there's an adage. This wasn't from the Tao, but there was an adage basically that says that, I lost it. I don't want to try to search for it. So I lost the video. All right, so let's just go to the end of this. Awareness is what I've been trying to talk a lot about. I think it resonates with people, and when you really zone in on our misunderstanding of what awareness is. And but that's what I've really been trying to focus on moving forward with my life. And most of it is to turn off. You have to I do not want to be aware of things that are happening that are so ugly. I don't want to give that my intent or my energy or I don't want that to be reality. So people will say that turning away from it like that is cowardice. Maybe it is. Maybe that's why the meek inherit the earth, because I don't have the power. I have not gained any kind of strength from my positioning, my perception, my gnosis, other than I can only do what I can do. And I think the best thing I can do is to try to shepherd. And I would like to have a higher platform. I do think I have something to give other people, but I don't want it to corrupt, because I do think that I've found what my piece is, and that's what allows me to not have any fear, because I give faith to peace. I give faith to humanity. I think it's much more beautiful than we've been shown. And I just think that it is just a matter of time before it becomes what it is. And all of this other stuff on top of it is just a house of cards. And it doesn't mean anything. In the end, when you die, it does not matter. Only matters what you did. It's all that really matters. And what you do today, that's what's so important about it. It doesn't matter. You're still here right now. So you still are not been punished enough to not be here, and many people have. So it's your responsibility moving forward today, especially just for your using your senses. I mean, disregard really everything else. I think that's really something that meditation does, or fasting does, or all these different things, is to remind you that you really don't need anything to survive. You can really survive pretty much anything as long as you have what we have an abundance of. And this everything else is sinful. So that's why a lot of Buddhist people would just sit there and do nothing. But I don't think that's the right way. I think our job is to be shepherds, is to experience. It's to experience. And as we become more aware, our experience either becomes more difficult or better based on where we direct our awareness. So if you consume a lot of knowledge from other sources, that's where I think basically you're always going away. Whenever you go, you're going away from source, which is what your current moment is. Everything else is just color. It's your perception. Even time. That's what's so wicked. Time. These videos are timeless. All right, I think I'm good. Should I talk a little bit about my status? I've not been doing videos, and people are probably wanting to know what's going on with me. My job has been doing better. Still at the same place. I've been there for over a year now. I feel like I've made a lot of improvements. I feel healthy. I'm very poor. I'm very, 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 very poor. But I've made a lot of very healthy improvements in my life. And I am getting to come see my daughters. I'm going to see them in a little bit. I don't want to give time frame. I guess it's probably not appropriate to. But I'm looking forward to doing that for a few days. And I want to help my daughter with golf. I just want to see my kids, honestly. I've been needing to see them. Obviously, that last video was a cry fest, but so it's more selfish for me because I need to replenish my energy. And I have a lot of purpose, but they're my purpose. I mean, I'm the father of 4 wonderful daughters, and it's something that's important for me to, that's something that I've taken on as an oath. And it's hard sometimes to figure out how to do that whenever you've been, I guess you take on your own responsibilities and just keep saying, I'm sorry. But this is the circumstances that I'm in, and I'm trying very hard. That's all I can really do. I don't know that there's too many people that have been trying harder at their life of really trying to live with purpose than me. So I don't have any. That's what helps me get through it, is I have a relationship with gnosis, with using my awareness and my gnosis and trying to do my best. Take each moment one by one. I think moment's really important too. Like, your purpose might just be one moment of your existence, or it might be many moments, or it might be one great moment, or it might be a bunch of moments that look like they're really bad, but because of those bad moments, they created something that was necessary to be great. And the adage I was talking about was earlier, I can round it out because I lost it. There's 2 people, an old guy and a young guy, sitting next to each other. And what was it again? I forgot it already. I forgot it again. Maybe I'm just not supposed to tell that story. It's a sage and a young man, and the sage is trying to tell the young man, I can't remember. I lost it. That scares me a little bit because I do that sometimes now, and I know that might be something like with memory. Memory's weird, the way that your short-term and long-term memory works, because it really gets deep into what I've been talking about. And I think somehow dreaming and your current memory state has something to do with each other. That's something that I just stumbled on, but I don't know if that's true or not. Anyways, we're all programmed. This language is all programmed. It was programmed after the coalescence of the Tower of Babel into a power structure that's not exactly great for humanity. So I would say we have to break it. That's how you do it. You break it, and nobody wants to break it because it's all ego. And nobody wants to break their ego. If you want to learn about ego, I like learning about like the understanding of what true ego is. I think that the Freudian idea of ego is just completely misdirection. And Carl Jung is a much better source, is what I would say. There's a lot of sources out there you can look into, but you still have to use your discernment because they all have they're all programming. And your current state is not programming, it is current. So that's the most important thing, right? Hope everybody has a great day. It's a new day to start again. I'm doing better than I've been. It's just been a really difficult time. I try not to talk about all this political stuff because it's just disgusting. I don't want to be part of it. I don't want to be a part of it. So I'm not going to be. I don't like to be a part of things that I think are disgusting. And I think we do have the ability to go where we want to go. That's another one of those abilities. All right, so I hope everybody has a great day out there. Sorry for the lapse of time. I'll try to do some videos again moving forward. I enjoyed doing this one. I feel better. So calling in the Holy Spirit. All we want to do is just do the best we can today and be appreciative. I forgot that base too. The gratefulness of being grateful for the opportunity, no matter how, when you focus on why you can't become who you are, and you want to be I am, something like that. Have a great day.